Elon Musk on the Tesla earnings call last night, warning shareholders about a potential rough patch ahead. Shares getting hit this morning, down better than 8%. Let's bring in Canaccord Genuity's George Gianarikas. Raises his target from 303 up to 333, and he maintains his buy. George, it's great to have you. You write it pretty plainly. We may have just seen the bottom in growth trends with positive acceleration on the way. What makes you think so?
Well, the good thing about bad comps is that they become easier over time. And so if you think about the next several quarters from Tesla, yes, we agree they'll probably be rough, but they have been rough. I mean, the company had its worst year-over-year decline in the second quarter. So when you look to Q3, Q4, these EV tax credits will come off by the end of the third quarter. We could see a rush in the third quarter from U.S. buyers. And then when you look to Q4, Q1, they have promised one or maybe a couple new vehicles, which should help those comps. So when just purely looking at the math, Q2 may have been the bottom in terms of year-over-year declines.
Right. Everyone always says, oh, the auto business is a small part of the valuation, but you seem to still care about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. It's the vast majority of their business. And look, we love robots, we love autonomy and robo-taxis, but those are the end of the decade sort of revenue drivers. And particularly on a robo-taxi, our concern is that the cost per mile that they articulated in the call is way too low. We did a lot of math around it, and we can't see them really breaking meaningfully below $1 per mile. And what that does is it limits their TAM in the United States to about 24 billion miles. For them to get to trillions of miles of a TAM in the U.S., they have to break to 25 cents. And we did a lot of math around it, Carl, and we just don't see it happening for a very, very long time.
Right. So why do you have a buy on the stock?
Well, because first and foremost, we see these comps, bottoming in the second quarter. And beyond that, if you look to 2028, 2029, 2030, there's a lot of earnings power. So, we get to over $10 in 28 and 29 and 2030. And if you think about the chessboard over the next several years, if you believe in autonomy, if you believe in robotics, it's very hard to find a company that's going to lead in both, not to mention energy storage. And if you listen to the call yesterday, and we're a big believer, we need a lot more batteries on the grid, a lot more batteries, because what the big, beautiful bill did was it created a void in terms of the energy we need on our grid between now and when gas turbines and nuclear power can help.
But with automotive declining, or at least challenged, I mean, what signposts are you going to look for to say, okay, they're meeting them, and robotics and robo-taxis is going to be a success over these next few years? Because we're talking about a gap here of years potentially till they get to scale.
Yeah, I mean, look, from a robo-taxi perspective, they've been successful so far in Austin. And on the call yesterday, they said that they'd be able to meet about half the country's demand by the end of the year. We'll see if that's doable. Even if they get to something close to that, it's a remarkable feat from the company. So we see that as a tailwind over the next several years. And from a robotics perspective, we weren't there, but on the call yesterday, they mentioned that someone from a very large bank went and visited their line. There's a huge potential there. They talked about legions of robots, over the next couple of years. And they said on the call yesterday, it's not in our model, but they wouldn't be surprised if they build 100,000 a month by 2030. And if you assume, $50,000 to $100,000 ASP on those and a decent gross margin, it's a huge growth driver. So we'll have to wait for a ramp on robots, see how successful they'll be in robo-taxi over the next several quarters. But those over time have the potential to be meaningful drivers to the story.
Right. We didn't even get to Cybertruck or politics or his relationship with the president. They'll save it for next time, George. Good to talk to you, George Gianarikas.